So are we going to bring up the plans here soon, or we're working on it? Okay. Okay, that's fine. I can get you guys started. So this down here are the bungalows themselves, and the colors here, it's part of our submission. It's all just in white, but I've added some color for your easy review of this. These light shaded ones on the far end here are newer ones that were added much later and were never part of the old historic report. The oldest building here is the darker one, which is the Warner Cottage. And then all of the yellow ones here, the brighter yellow ones, are the Reginald Johnson bungalows. And if we look at Jesse's plans that she's going through, it's just one building that it starts on this side and goes that way. Again, there's a demo plan that kind of shows the interior stuff that's happening and exterior. And then on the right-hand side, it shows the proposal. Again, it's a kit of parts. Jesse, if you go to the next one, it'll show the elevations. It has existing next to proposed. The doors and windows are kind of taken from different parts of the building and or new to match the existing. And it's to really, again, lighten up the rooms and bring the outside into the room. And one of the big changes here is this kind of, and it's been a process, as Alex knows, and it's been a lot of work in terms of pulling the, let me show you. This is the existing site plan here, and you can see all of the vegetation around the building, pulling a lot of that away from the building and adding a green fence that kind of pulls it away, and then having landscape that's against the building that's a lot lower in scale and bringing the elevations back. We gave you some pictures of an 11 by 17 that kind of re-exposing the buildings themselves and showing that you can get light on the elevations and bring light into the room, which was, again, something that, we worked very hard on keeping them like they are, but actually enhancing them and getting privacy that was created by the landscaping before. And it was heavy landscaping to create the privacy between them, to where we'd add a green fence and then put the landscaping on the public side of it. And then on the internal side, we'd have a more private garden, and it really exposed the cottages themselves. So each one of these kind of address that. And we can keep on going through the plans here, Jesse. That's building F there. That's the most historic. You can see we're only adding two doors that are existing doors that are there now. They're windows, and that just allows you to get from the bedroom to the outdoor space easier. You can kind of see the notes are there where that's changing. And then this is G and H are the same. These are from the 70s, I believe. These are kind of, when you see, you can see the architecture is not necessarily of the style that we'd be familiar with. And then if we keep going, we get into the Reginald Johnson. This is building F. So we're right here, right now, right there. And this kind of H shape, you can see it's kind of in all of the buildings here, where each one is kind of a derivative of the next. And so once we kind of got our kit of parts together and we got Alex with us, and we kind of decided where each one of these pieces would go from over here, then we kind of applied that to each one of these and made the room similar yet unique for their particular location and for their relationship to the next. And then you can see the yards have been kind of pulled fairly close to the building itself, but we got the landscaping, the heavy landscaping off, and it remains in the public area here, just as it is right now. The paths are pretty much the same. And then there were some fences and some walls around these before where tubs were added, and they were done in block and in white plaster, and we changed that all to green fences so that it really highlights the building, which is the white stucco architecture, and really as you can see from those 11 by 17s, the green fencing really blends back into the landscape itself. I think we're just kind of making our way through, and a lot of these buildings are the same. Keep on going, Jesse. Oh, there it's Q. So already down to the end here. And then these two buildings here, we have a future phase that's going to address those two.
So is that it for the bungalows?
That's it for the bungalows, and then all that's really left.
Questions, Tip,
No questions.
Dave, questions?
What's the material and detailing of the green fence?
We could go back to that, but it's really a two-sided fence. It's painted green. It's cedar with a wood cap on it. It's meant to go away, and it's really replaced by the planting that's on it. I think you can see in that picture there, but you can see we have a lot of utilities. It's going around a lot of different plants. So it has, 4x4 posts that are 8 feet on center. And it's a little 1x1 footing that goes down, and it's a fairly lightweight wooden fence between the two units or the two bedrooms that are, the idea with the bungalows is that the living room is connected to one bedroom and you could rent that. And then there's 3 other bedrooms that could become part of it or not. They're kind of lock-offs. So in the case between the 2 bedrooms that are lock-offs, if you will, we'll have cement block in between there so that you can be on one side of the fence or the other without your neighbor hearing you. 6 feet high.
Cement block with plaster?
It's all wood clad, so you wouldn't see the block. It's just for soundproofing.
Where are those fences going in the site plan?
You can see them, well, you can see them kind of right here. They're kind of there. They're strategically located in between each one to work with the pathways.
I can't see.
Okay, well, go back to the site plan and way up at the beginning, Jesse, maybe sheet 3. Or 4 maybe. Get to the blow up. Yeah, here you go here. So a lot of them exist. Oh, I can't put my pointer there. Jesse, you can kind of show them. A lot of them exist already, and then some of them have been added. And if you look on a lot of those kind of screened-in areas were done with planting, but we've now put a fence there. So
But there was green fence existing before or just,
it was either wood wall or green fence, or and they used to have like a little archway and a gate with a trellis, but then it was planting on either side for a lot of them. And there was a little patio there, but it was so overplanted that it was really kind of dark and very difficult to get the light into the unit itself. So by pulling these 4 or 5 feet off of the building, further off than they were before, it really now allows the light to get in between there to the room, to the unit. It's much brighter, and it's a much happier day. Alex might have some thoughts on that.
Just simply would like Alexandra Cole.
Turn on your mic and speak into it, please.
Yeah, there you go.
Cole, architectural historian. And I would like to say that when they were first done by Reginald Johnson in 1929, they looked of a unit. They were residences and you could see them across the lawn, and that was what their design was. And then in the much more recent past, the planting around them has been allowed to grow up. So you can't even see the buildings anymore. If you were to walk where these buildings are, all you'd see are these great clumps of planting. You wouldn't even be able to see the buildings. And so that's why it was really important from me, from the historic point of view, to take it back to the residential feel, so that by pulling away all that heavy planting, you could still be standing next to one of them and be able to see across to another one the way it had been historically. And so the fences were put there to still give that privacy. But on the other hand, if you were to be out there, you'd see the fence, but you'd see the building above the fence. And so that way it's come back, you getting the privacy that is needed, but it's coming back to the way it looked as a residential grouping of cottages.
Bill, anything more? Rob, please.
So are you saying that the fences are the detailing of those are historical? These proposed fences that you're gonna plant on both sides, they're gonna be historically appropriate?
Yes, yeah, the residential wood.
What is it?
It's cedar, 1x6 cedar, painted.
And posts, the posts are how big?
They're covered. The fencing is all over, you don't see the posts.
Okay, okay. I don't have any more questions.
Okay, so I felt that I had an insufficient amount of material to make a clear assessment about what you're doing, particularly with the increased size of the patios. And so I sent an email, which I suspect you guys have gotten. And the concern that I have is that we are going to start getting a project that's not luxuriously landscaped into one that's more architecturally visible and looks like an early in the development. You know, you always wait for the landscape to grow in. Well, now we've got it. And you say, no, we want to go back to 1920 when there was no landscape. You know, we put in 1-gallon trees. So I can't really assess what you guys are doing with the patios and the landscaping with the material that you presented us before. So the question is, will the next submission have sufficient detail to demonstrate, just like you have with the building elevations, before and after, which is what's the landscaping and the location of the fences and things like that, before and after in partial site plans? Because I don't think it's so much per building. I think it's in grouping of buildings. So will we get that so we really have an understanding of where we're going with this, please?
Well, I would suggest that some of the 11 by 17 photos that we showed you have simulations of that, and that they are very illustrative, I think, as to that perspective. You can see in that there is an existing condition and then a simulation of the new thinning of the landscape, introduction of the fencing. And I think that's quite illustrative. I think it shows that there's still this luscious landscaping. So maybe we're not today, and maybe we're between 1929 and 2024. But the intent here is to create the private spaces, but still, we're not altering the public areas, and there would still be the lushness of the landscaping in the public areas.
And from Hill Road?
The screening that's along Hill Road.
No, you just turn yourself off.
The screening that's on Hill Road would remain. We want to screen the property from Hill Road.
Okay, so the question is, thank you for the answer, but a corollary, in the next set of drawings that we get, are we going to have far more precise information about what it is that's there now and where you're going in the future, particularly in terms of plan? 5 years ago, 7 years ago, you guys came through and you increased the size of these patios and started reducing the amount of landscaping between these brick walkways and the buildings. And I felt at that time that you were probably right at the barrier of what it was going to be to maintain the lusciousness of this property. And my fear is that by increasing the size of the patios, which is what it looks like you're proposing here, you're going to have crossed that barrier. Now, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Please prove me that I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think your perspective's out of sight. And we'll make that more illustrative, but what the plan is that sort of the flanks of the building where the public areas go through, those will remain the same. The expansion of the yards areas we're doing are sort of off the back elevations of the cottages. So between Hill Road and the cottages, not off to the flanks of the cottages. So those public areas, those public pathways and the landscaping, the lushness of that will remain. The expanded yard areas are into, you can
North
look
side of
upon
the
the
building.
cottages here and just see how dense the vegetation is in there.
On the north side.
On the north side. I mean, when you walk along Hill Road, you can't even tell what's on the other side of the
No, I
fence.
understand that.
And that would still remain. And so we'd leave that buffer that's right at Hill Road there. But the area, let's just say 8 feet inside of that up to the building, we would open up as this greater private yard area. But it wouldn't be out to the flanks, which are the public areas that go between the buildings where the red brick walkways are.
That's right here, John. You can see it. So right here is the yard that looks at the cottage here. So you have all that interior space that looks at that building and you can appreciate it. Where right now it's just a mass of trees and you can't even get away from the building. You go out straight in. So we're pulling that back and creating these yards and creating a much better sense of the bungalow itself.
I think, one way to describe what we're trying to do is not change the public, the feeling of the public landscaping as you walk through and around the cottages, but simply adjacent to the cottage itself, creating slightly larger courtyard spaces that will, number one, bring better light into each of the cottages. Right now, if you go to a lot of those cottages and you walk inside, you look out the windows and all you see are trees and landscaping up against the windows. There's no light coming through. So clearly there was there was good reason in terms of the hotel to try and lighten the experience inside the bungalow. But we're trying to do it, and I think successfully, without changing the lushness of the landscaping on the public side of the fences.
Okay.
And if we need to bring more illustrative material to show you examples of that, I think we can do that.
Could use.
Yeah, we could develop that for next time.
Some of, I mean, we have, like, I didn't even realize that
Well,
this was a,
these were not in our folder.
yeah, so, but I mean,
Indeed.
this would have helped having some text and some written language just to see what we're looking at, and maybe zeroing in with some of your graphics and views. So, I mean, we're really far out right now trying to absorb a lot of information. So if you can zero in and have more information and text, it would certainly help me understand what you're doing.
Well, the materials we provided you today were a response to the chairman's questions.
Okay.
We thought it was better to give something than not at all, and we can develop that further for next time.
Okay,
John, I have a quick question. A question for Alex. With all the vernacular that we see here, the different styles, Reginald Johnson, we've got headers in some areas, thick and deep recessed walls and doors. Are there any elements in this that you would say are not part of the historic nature of this that they should be removing, or is what they're proposing, asking the professional, all good?
So it's all good. I worked really hard going over each one of those cottages, because each one of the cottages has had some changes. But I felt that the changes that had been made was simply copying one door or actually moving it to another place. And so that's what made me come up with this plan, that these are the only door types and window types that you can use. They're already there on the property. They were from Reginald Johnson's time, and they're in keeping with the general style of his buildings. And so I was very clear about these are the only door types, if you're making new ones, that you can use. You have to copy one of these.
Got it. Perfect.
So I worked really hard. and
So
Great.
one quick comment. The one thing I wrote as a note right here that struck me at the very beginning of this is that trailer. So with everything that you're doing that's so nice, can we not do something much better than that trailer and come up with something that would have been done at that time that would?
You're talking about the guardhouse?
Yeah, I mean, is that from the very beginning? Was that there? Okay, so they would have done something architecturally, a little architectural element right there. That's a guardhouse that was appropriate and matched the architecture. So I hope you do something.
I think we can look into that. I think certainly one thing, I mean, what we're not trying to do, particularly in the service parking area off of Hill there, where you don't get the public coming in there. That's all kind of service.
It just struck me.
Yeah. I mean, planting out the guardhouse, having it still function, but not look like a foreign piece of architecture is certainly.
I thought doing a new guardhouse would be the way to go.
Mr. Chair, I think we might have lost something in the translation. I believe it's always been our intent to rebuild that
Okay.
and get rid of that shed, that Home Depot shed that's there.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that.
And with all the things that are going on, I think that's kind of gotten lost. Our intent is to rebuild that feature.
Thank you.
okay, Ken, are you done with your presentation?
Yeah, we're done. As you can imagine, it's a tough crowd we got going on here with a lot of,
Okay, so any other questions, please? Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 6, 1260 Channel Drive, is that it?
Correct.
Please? Anybody?
Anyone online, go ahead and raise your virtual hand. I'll call on you if you'd like to speak on this item. Not seeing any hands.
Okay. So there is no motion today because we're on for concept preliminary next time, guys, everybody. And then Okay, and then, so to summarize, please,
Eliminate final, is that what we're talking about?
well, chances are we'll get the next meeting will be final on consent.
Because we're thinking about bringing the pool and the other stuff on the next
No,
agenda.
no, please leave that out.
No, we're not, Mr. Chair. We're not bringing the pool next
Yeah,
time.
no, no, no. The
You're right, you're right on path.
next time, have completed drawings that a contractor can use,
Mhm.
to understand exactly what you're doing, details and all that. And you want to get tried for final? No, let's just go for,
Okay, so, based what I've seen today, beside the landscaping, which I think the completely different, animal completely. For the building, all these, minor, except with your comment about the arches and how close to the top,
yeah,
which I thought is a valid comment. I think that if I can look at that, make sure that it doesn't squeeze against the roof. Like the arches holding off the roof instead of the plaster. So that's little things. But overall, if you need to add, like what you've shown today, and it's not really a concern of mine, you're not adding square footage. You're not adding any glass houses. You're just trying to add some more light coming into it. And it's mainly for building A, building B, and then all the cottages, am I right?
yes,
That will be part of, you call it phase 1 and phase 2 opening, and God willing, you open by May 31st. Be great if we do. And phase 2, hopefully soon after that. The pool probably take you 2 more years just to get through that turkey. So my take is that I like you to find a way to, when you submit for final approval, personally, I think you can just try to simplify the package, just focus on those specific areas. And that's mainly about detailing, more or less, and that can get through quickly on the approval.
So the only, is there a licensed landscape architect that's in-house with you folks or something that's part of this process or? Okay, good, great, that's all.
And landscaping, I think that as John and you guys mentioned, it's a really different, how much trimming and the swimming pool and all that water features.
So all I'm saying about that is I completely support this subtropical approach and keeping with the Biltmore, what is the Biltmore? It's just, I'm worried about you being able to kind of get through the wheel, if in fact that is what's required, comes out the other end, that is what's required. There's, that you have to have a landscape architect to help navigate through that, because I think it can be done. I mean, a lot of people come in here just showing kind of grasses and agaves on a lot of projects, and I think there's a lot of plants with a subtropical bent that will qualify and get you there, so it can be done.
okay, so here's my comment about the gatehouse. I think that there's a qualitative difference between having a gatehouse of subpar visual quality buried deep in the site versus one that's right on the road. And if you guys want to move it out to the outside, my comment is, please give us a new building that actually looks like the Biltmore. And if you don't want to give us a new building that looks like the Biltmore, please leave it where it is, because there will then be a lot of interest in having you guys do that. Okay? Because I don't care how much landscaping, I don't care how much lipstick you put on a pig, it's still a pig. Okay? So that, anybody else?
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, so leave it where it is or give us a good building. Okay, please. And there are numerous examples around and you guys can figure it out, I'm sure.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, oh, I'm
Just
sorry.
before we end, Ms. McCarthy just reminded me that we do have a comment letter in the folder from Jamie Brown.
You are absolutely correct. And what did Jamie say again? I read it. It was the former planning commissioner, Jamie Brown. Oh, okay. Oh, she is saying, could you refer this to HLAC prior to us taking action. Isn't that summarize it?
Yep, summarize it. Can we move on?
What a board member, whose call is that? I don't know that it's needed. I mean, I think I don't see anything here that's earth shaking or,
We've got.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment?
yeah, please.
Yeah, there, in the prior development plan approvals, there is a requirement in the conditions of approval that any new improvements with the Biltmore project be brought to MBAR. And that is the only conditioned review body for the existing development plan approvals.
I have a question too. Isn't Alex Cole's report going to get reviewed by planning too? Right? Isn't that part of the process? So,
Hi, members of the board. This is Henry Welcome, one of the planners working with Biltmore from the county. They did submit historic reports to us, and we're currently in the process of getting those peer reviewed. So that is ongoing.
Okay,
it's good enough for me.
okay, so the arches on buildings B and D and somewhere else.
John, I haven't had a chance to make.
Oh, I'm sorry, please.
Um,
I asked, I'm sorry if you didn't get it.
So I think the architecture, everything, I think looks good. I have the same concerns about the arches that John did. That's why I brought them up. They feel out of place to me, even if they are part of the vocabulary. But I'm okay with that if, I'm going to leave that up to you and historian. I'm more concerned about the landscape, and it's really hard to assess that right now. So I agree that we need a lot more detail on that. And I personally am not convinced at all that a green cedar fence is appropriate to this project. And your renderings make me feel that way even more. So for me to support that, I really need something to hang my hat on. And they just seem very inappropriate to the project to me. So when you come back, please justify those.
Wouldn't they have done that in iron? If you were trying to hide it with some landscaping, you would have had iron, some kind of
You're also
iron.
talking sound walls though, right? As part of your reasoning.
Well, I thought that was just basically to hold plants and do some screening with.
So I think they're trying to dual function that wall.
Yes, sound walls between units, between unit yards. We'll work with our historian on that and come up with some options.
And that's why I think maybe preliminary and then final is a separate step may make the most sense.
Yes, as far as our timing goes, my understanding from staff is when we achieve preliminary, then they can start moving to finalize the SCD, which plays into our timing of May 31st.
Let's do it.
So that would be satisfactory.
Is there any advantage to a site visit at some point? Maybe not at this stage, but certainly in the future when they get into the.
Well, I agree with Dave wholeheartedly that I think this project is not really about architecture. I think it's really about landscape
Right.
architecture.
Yeah.
And how fast are you going to get back to us?
I believe that we are already submitted for the February 22nd meeting
Is there room for a site visit on that day?
or beforehand, whenever your pleasure.
One that's got two already?
This is all news to me.
Hmm.
I'll discuss it with the planner.
Just
Would
a
we
thought.
like to do a site visit before the next meeting?
If we talk about landscaping, yes.
Yes, well, yes, I think so.
I think it'd be very helpful.
I do too. Okay, everybody okay with that? There is no vote. We're on for concept. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with that. Okay, item number 7 is continued. Item 7. Okay, I need a motion to continue item 7, please.
So moved?
I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and Dave and Bill are abstaining, I guess, because of a conflict.
So just for the record, would be continuous to the next meeting. That's what,
That's fine, as fast as possible. It was through no fault of theirs. COVID strikes again, and so does a vacancy. Item number 8. 775 Oak Grove Drive. Is there, Shelby, are you here?
Hi, yes, I am here.
Okay, excellent. Let me read the comments. Mass bulk and scale of addition acceptable, restudy north elevation, restudy handrail detail, confirm the proposed planter railing concept complies with building code regulations, provide landscape plan, confirm LRV of existing paint color. No action taken, may return for preliminary. So you're on for preliminary today.
Yes,
Shelby,
hi.
thank you.
Yeah, hi, thanks so much. My name's Shelby Jenke. I'm the
One
project.
second. And we have a memo that basically says we're good, right?
From the planner.
Yeah,
Yes, the project is complete through planning.
right. Okay, very good. Thank you, Shelby.
Great. So again, I'm with Suzanne Elledge Planning and Permitting, the agent for the owners. I'm here today with the architect, Dean Pratt, and our landscape architect, Connie Yu, who will be, I'll be passing the presentation off to them shortly. Just, to do a quick reminder of the project, it's an existing single-family residence. We are proposing a remodel and addition to the ground floor level, as well as a new garage that'll be attached to the addition. And there's a small interior remodel work at the stairway leading up to the second story. And then we've got a roof deck up off the second story, which you'll see has been revised slightly. The footprint hasn't changed, but the layout of that deck has changed a little bit. And we're here for preliminary design approval, as you've mentioned. And Dean will walk you through the changes that we've made to respond to your comments, including exploring the guardrail, exploring the elevations a bit more. And we've also provided a landscape plan at your request. So I will be available for any questions planning related, and I'm gonna pass it off to Dean to get to bring you up to speed on the architecture.
Dean, are you with us?
I think you're muted, Dean.
How's that?
There you go.
Very good. Thank you.
Right. Thanks for having us. So would you like me to start, or do you just want to ask any questions, or what would you like to do?
Let's just go through each plan very quickly. Don't stop. And let's get down to the elevations, please.
Okay, so no change to the square footage or anything that or height
Dave.
for this sheet. Really no changes there. The big change really is, so that's existing. And so what we ended up doing was, if you go back to the second floor plan, there. If you can zoom in, it'll help a little bit. So previously, the scheme had the planters creating kind of a screening wall around the perimeter on the right-hand side and the top and bottom. We took away those because the clients really wanted to be able to see the landscape beyond and reverse the furniture layout there so they could do that, and then kept the planting, the roof planting in front of them and on the sides. So they're kind of looking so that you see landscape at your level, and then it kind of melds into the landscape below beyond at the yard, because they're quite a ways back from the street and well screened. So it should look like a pretty nice enclosure of landscape only. So that was the biggest change. We didn't change the footprint below. And then if you scroll down a little bit so that you can see the garage roof, that was previously all meant to be a roof garden. And it had no guardrail, and we were creating just a path within that so that you could just kind of wander around it, and then it kept you well away from the perimeter. So we felt we didn't need a guardrail. Code supports that in the language, but the building department did not support it for citing safety reasons. And so we had to back off that idea, unfortunately. But what we'll end up with is a just a roof that's sloped to drain. And we're going to try to screen that as best we can from the seating area off that master bedroom that we were just addressing. And so that was the biggest change to this project, and everything else. So if you can go back to the elevations now, and I can kind of walk you through those. And there's some colored renderings too that might help better illustrate it. So the top elevation, we're looking at the 2 garage doors. And to the left of those garage doors, you'll see some green planting, and that is a new planter that'll kind of harbor a big tree there that you'll see at the end of the view from the driveway as you're driving up to your garage. And then new steps going up to the house to the left of that planter. And then you can kind of see the tree or the plantings beyond there at the upper deck. And the tree that's kind of peeking up above the garage, that's an existing sycamore that we're trying to maintain and work around. So that's kind of why we have this big divot out of the first and second floor plans to try to accommodate that tree. And then the plan below it is the east view, and you can kind of see the planting there on the right-hand side with the deck. And that's just going to be a cable guardrail there to try to keep that visibility as much as we can onto the roof planting there, and then the landscape beyond. And to the far left is our new tree and raised planter, and then the steps going up to the house. So you can go to the next. We'll show a couple more. So north view on the top there, you can kind of see our planter again at the master deck. And the west elevation is unchanged from the original. So you can kind of see it's meant to be this, originally it was designed as this very Japanese-ish style of house. And we're going to maintain that as much as we can with the stucco that's framed by just some stained wood accent boards and trim around the windows and doors. And so if you can go one more. So building sections don't tell you very much more than what we were just discussed. At the bottom, there should be, there are also some architectural renderings that we did of 3 sides that might better illustrate this, that we should have available there. So that's the view of the garage entry. On the right is that sycamore peeking up above the garage that we're trying to maintain. That existing guardrail where you can see the woman in the red dress is going to be maintained. And to the left of the garage, you can see a person there at the bottom of that new planter and stairway that we're going to have kind of weaving up into the house. So there's 2 more colored renderings that you can look at. East elevation there. On the left-hand side is the garage, and we're just indenting that to give us some shadow play. And we're going to use some stained wood and batten siding there just to try to animate that a little bit. The inset to the right of that area is the existing sycamore we're trying to maintain. And to the right of that is the second floor master deck. And below that is the living space, the new living space and bedroom. And then there's one more. So north elevation there, sycamore on the far left that we're trying to maintain. And the stone siding at the base there is to match existing that exists there now. And we'll just kind of continue that. And to the right of that, where you can see a couple people that I sketched in, we're just going to do a little sunken terrace there that we're going to be able to access off what we're remodeling down there in that basement area. And everything else there that's lightly shaded in yellow is existing to remain. So that's a nutshell of the project and just some of the materials, trying to maintain the kind of Japanese character of the house itself and reinforce it and match some of the existing.
Are you done then?
I'm done.
Questions, Dave?
Oh, we do have landscape to present.
Let's see that, please.
And I did want to note that one of the comments was to confirm the LRV of the existing paint colors, because we'll be matching that. And that's LRV 84. So Connie, I'll pass it off to you now for landscape.
Okay, I'm Connie Yu. I'm the landscape architect for the project. This site is one of the most beautiful sites I have worked on in the past 25 years, and it has all these beautiful oaks, mature oaks. And when I first visit the site, I can sense that tranquility that the site offers. And what we are trying to do here is really to preserve the existing landscape to the maximum, and then keep the disturbance to the minimum, and repair whatever we disturbed during the construction, and with a very naturalistic take. So what we did is first we look around the site and really observe what's already there and what's doing well there. And as you all know, that it's quite challenging to get plants established under oaks. So we document what's there and kind of mimic that palette for the entrance path and the ground repair strip by the garage remodel area. So for the roof deck planting, we were trying to create an outdoor room that can transition from inside to outside. And it's kind of like a window you can view through and into the oak woodland. Because the roof deck planting depth is quite shallow. So we chose something that's tried and true succulents that will perform well with that shallow soil depth and requires low maintenance. And all the pallets that and the entrance walk is really kind of walk through the nature, take you to the front door. And it's really just repeating the native landscape that's in the existing palette. And the plants that we chose are all low and very low with a couple of medium water use. And we felt like this is really suitable for this site. And that's my brief description. If you have any questions.
Thank you. Questions, Dave, please.
No questions.
Bill, please.
No questions.
Rob, please.
Are there any pictures of the existing site? I didn't see any in the package.
I think that was presented in the first round, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that they should be part of this package. I mean, I've got, we submitted it with the original. Shelby, can you access those?
I don't know if
Yeah.
I was here for that.
Yeah,
So,
David, do you have those? They would have been with the last submittal. We did not, we
I
didn't
don't think they were in
include.
the package.
Yeah, they were not included in this resubmittal.
it's just difficult for me to understand what you're proposing landscape-wise without kind of you're describing how nice
Right.
everything is around it, and so.
Understood, yeah.
Mhm.
So if it's possible, if not, I'll work around it, so,
Work around it.
okay.
Do you have any comments?
Um,
Questions, I mean, I'm sorry.
so and then is this meant to be a final set?
No, we're on for preliminary
Okay.
today.
There you
Tip, questions,
you.
please. No questions.
Thank you.
And, oh, okay. Excellent, thank you.
Kindly.
So there's some shots there of the landscape around that as well, kind of shooting back toward the street and give you an idea of the character of how the house sits within that landscape. It's a pretty natural landscape. There's really no lawn.
Oh, here you go. Yes. So it's really an
Pretty
oak grove. I guess that's a street. It's called
Okay.
Oak
Are you
Grove.
good?
I'm great. Yeah, thank you very much.
Do you have questions now that you've seen this?
No.
Okay, and I have no questions. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 8775 Oak Grove Drive, please.
I have no request to speak.
Okay, comments, Dave, please.
Yeah, I think the architecture is appropriate to the existing house and I think the improvements to the railing, it's been a while since I've seen this, but
Yeah.
it seemed like there was some complexity that's been eliminated. And I especially like the landscape architect's approach to the design, paying attention to what's there and what's working. We don't always hear that, and I think that's a very clever way to
Thank you.
approach this project. So I can support it for preliminary approval.
Bill, please.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely supportable. I should ask the question, but why is it that you're going to a cable rail and not trying to match the existing? Was there
Just
some,
visibility, because the seating that, in the plan, you can see the seating, it's gonna look out to the landscape beyond, and we just felt that, we wanted to try to minimize that as much as possible.
I mean, it seems like a fairly transparent guardrail, but maybe I'm not seeing it up close and personal, so.
It is fairly transparent. It's like a wire gauge mesh
Yeah.
that's in there.
And are you doing a wood cap rail on it to match kind of the?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we're doing that. And, part of it too is now the existing guardrail is 36 high. New code requires 42, as you know. So trying to match that up, it just kind of became a visual cluster a bit.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I can support what you're doing. I like it and appreciate the landscaping. Thank you.
Great.
Rob, comments, please.
Could I see the front elevation, the colored elevation, please? Yeah, the rendered one. Yeah, that's kind of the style is an old school style. So the only question, it's only a question actually, is do you have stone on kind of the wainscot on a lot on the other side of the building? And so this elevation right here on that south elevation it's just I guess a thought, but it's, it seems like it's a great place in crying for stone because of the way it works so well, and it's the natural spot for it. But the only other comment I have is landscape wise, I like where you're going with it. I would actually even look at the structure of the way the landscape is laid out is a little stiff. I might even kind of let it leave that edge against the building the way you have it, and then start to let it meander and drift out and start to integrate into the surrounds, because it kind of
Right.
cuts off almost.
I see,
So,
right.
Yeah,
so I think you're going in the right direction. I just think kind of carry it and then meander it as you move away from the house.
So just let some of that landscape weave into the proposed.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to see the pictures, because that's what I thought was
see.
happening, and I think you're moving in the right direction. So thank you.
Okay, great.
Tip, comments.
I have nothing else to add to it.
And I have nothing either. Rob, would you like to make the motion since I think you had the most,
I move for preliminary approval with the drawings as submitted, and with the suggestion but not a requirement to look at stone along the front elevation around the bottom, the base, and that on the landscape plan that the landscape stays kind of rigid up against the building, but then starts to drift off and become more organic as you move out into the surrounds.
is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? How is that for nice concise?
Boy, you gotta love it.
I was thinking more about Kimberly. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Back on standard or consent?
Consent, right? Everybody, yeah, thank you. You're done with the full board here.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
thank you.
Item number 9, our last item, 805 Park Lane, we're on for final. There is a memo. Let's start with that. There's a memo. Okay, so a 10-foot trail easement exists along. Okay, so this whole memo is about the trail easement on the west the south side of the property, southeast side of the property. And it's basically saying that they're proposing grass and it's got to be maintained by the homeowner. Right?
Correct.
It's
So-
not just grass, John.
Excuse me?
This is Derek, landscape architect.
Okay.
It's not just grass. It's two different types of grasses with three other types of native perennials, all which are designed to stay relatively below 18 inches, which the Trails Commission was looking for. But it'll have a very natural effect.
But the more important issue is that the homeowner has to maintain them, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, not the trails or roads or anybody. Okay. Your presentation, we're on for final. Let me read the comments from the last meeting. The MBAR member stated that the mass bulk and scale, height, and architectural style of the structure is acceptable and that the project is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Restudy and augment the landscape plan, increase perimeter landscape screening in front of structure that is abutting Park Lane West. Study defensible space requirements for landscaping within the high fire hazard area. Utilize non-reflective glass material for railings. So please address those. I think.
Yeah. So John, first of all, Daryl Becker, Becker Studios. All of those comments are comments that we reviewed at the last meeting.
Okay.
And
That's
so
all
they've
I've
all
got in front of me.
correct. I understand, but they're carry forward comments. So there really weren't any additional comments other than completing the plans and coming back for final. And we spent the last couple weeks reviewing things with parks to make sure we could get the trail easement through with appropriate planning. So the plants have been the focus, that and just making sure the package is complete. So I'll just take you quickly through the plan. I know you guys have had a long day. So if we could go to sheet 6, which is the original inspiration of this project. This is essentially the palette of what we're putting together. And then over to our material board, which is on 34. And we have night sky compliant lighting and our materials as directed by this board. And then we have complete window and door sections on PDFs 28, 29, 30, and wall sections on 23, 24, and 25. If we need to look back at those, they were also complete in our last meeting. So really the only thing new we're presenting would be the landscape plan. Is that correct, Eric?
Yes.
And that would be on PDF 39. And
We're looking for LP1.
yeah, I think that's LP1. Maybe I did that wrong. Maybe it's on 41. I'm sorry, 41. And so Derek, you might explain what we've done along the front.
Yeah. So you can see the beige is the decomposed granite path. A part of it continues a little bit as you turn southwest along the side of the project, but that's out of the easement, I think. Well, anyway, you can see just some hatches and circles with various identifiers for the plant material. But we put the plant material on both sides of the easement so that it has a more natural look, and it keeps people from walking in the street. And we have not removed the ficus nitida that has consistently been on the drawings on the wall, so that that will get screened out. So it'll just be a very naturalistic landscape with a green wall.
Is that it?
That's it.
I think that's it.
Questions, Chip,
No questions.
Rob,
No questions?
Bill?
Derek, the lighting there, is it all ground mounted stuff or you have any tree lights?
No, we don't have any tree lights.
It's all down path light kind
It's
of
all,
stuff.
yeah, path lighting.
And then Derek, gate and fence, I saw an elevation maybe, did you have a detail or just,
I think that's in Daryl's realm.
did he go? Did he leave
No,
us?
he's still here.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, the elevation of that, we have that in our renderings. I'm gonna come back to me on that. If you have any other questions, I'll see what we
No,
have.
I wanted to see if you had a detail for it, that's all. What was made out of and all that kind of stuff. That's all I had.
Dave, questions? There's a roof planting area. I didn't see how to get up there. How do you get up there to mow the lawn? And it's what it looks like you've got going.
I don't, Derek, can you explain the planting up there? And then
I
the,
don't care about the planting. I care about the access.
I think the access will probably be through a roof hatch at some point, but that's.
I don't see a roof hatch, so you don't have a way to get up there.
Well, ladder. How about a ladder?
A weed whacker.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
It doesn't require mowing, but it does require maintenance.
Okay, so public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 9, 805 Park Lane West, please?
No request to speak.
And comments, Tip, we're on for final tonight.
Well, I don't see anything that stop it from receiving final, and so I'm going to, unless someone else have more comments, I'm to make a motion for final
I have one comment.
Okay.
So
proof of access.
am I the only one?
I'm just waiting for a gate detail.
Oh,
Yeah, it's, we've got this information on 8301.
what?
The gate information was on A301 elevations and talks about the horizontal wood. And that would be PDF
Oh, all right. Well,
probably 18, I think.
yeah, we see it there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And my comment is, I was up at Westmont Ridley Tree Art Museum in the last couple of weeks. And a while ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when Don Nolte was on the board, they had roof plantings proposed for their buildings. Well, every last one of those plants is dead. And so I'm wondering why this is being proposed. And I'm wondering, you don't have an access. It looks like you haven't really thought it out completely. I think it should be eliminated from the project.
Is it, had you do any of the neighbors?
I don't know.
Well, so let's talk about that briefly. So the original concept of adding the roof planting was to soften the roof for the benefit of the neighbors coming down the lane. And I'm not advocating one way or another. We just have thought from the beginning that this was it was a nice thing to do for the neighbors coming down the hill, that if they did get a glimpse of this roof as the building dropped down in height, it was a 2-story height, and it was originally, we had a 2nd-story elevation overlooking the expanse of that. But as the buildings dropped down, the benefit of this roof growth has just essentially been a benefit for the neighbors, none of whom asked for it. The one thing I will say is we have studied this at length. I know you just commented that we hadn't really thought it through. We maybe have not thought through an access to the roof in that discussion. But the trade depth and all of that was outlined in the plant study, was exhaustively discussed. But we're happy to omit it if we can get an approval. We've now been exactly 2 years, almost to the day, in this process with this house, and we'd love to see this get kicked along.
Do you need it for stormwater management at all?
My take is that we should leave it in and hopefully in a couple of years, hopefully we're still alive. It's not really our issue to talk about the maintenance here, but hopefully in a couple of years, the landscape may be more mature and you can't see anything.
If it
Yeah.
dies and goes away.
Yeah, then it is what it
What's
is.
underneath it? Maybe that's a better question.
What kind of roofing do you have underneath it, Daryl?
Yeah, what'll it look like if it does
We
die?
have the whole system's an IB roof system, lifetime system, but there is an 8-inch tray that
top.
is engrossed in this thing to allow for planting and growing zones.
What color is the IB roofing, please?
It is a tan or light, the tan color of the IB material.
Don't they have a darker gray?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a dark gray, a white, a tan, and then the pink, which we avoid a lot. So we're happy to go with any color, the gray or the tan.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you're going with it. Actually, get rid of it. And then if you need to, put a 1 or 2 trees in a key spot for the neighbors, but.
Yeah, we don't have any
Said
other.
leave it in for
plans to put
now, and
trees.
if it doesn't survive, then we will take it out and
And you'll be back to the gray roof or whatever.
Leave it in?
yeah, leave it in.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, I'll move for final approval with the applicant to change the IB roofing material to a light gray. Is that a medium gray?
It's medium gray.
They don't have a dark,
Medium gray color.
there's not very many.
Is there a second to that motion, please?
Second it.
Any further discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. It was a long shot with you guys, but I think it's a very beautiful building.
Thank you. We do too. Appreciate all of you.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, well,
I'll make a
Appreciate it.
motion for adjournment, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so we are.